I had an exodus from Iran. So I can identify with the Jews back in Egypt, how they left, maybe under different circumstances. But 37 years ago, I went through this experience myself. So I think Pesach is time to rewrite this history, talk about this history, share these stories.
So the Golden family has a pretty typical story. My Zayda and Boba were from Neshvitz, which was in Poland at the time, but it flipped between Poland and Russia. It's now Belarus, very topical in today's world. It was Belarus, and they were very poor. My grandfather Zayda was a cobbler, not a particularly successful cobbler, and so from all accounts they lived in a shtetl.
In 1990s, when the Russian Federation opened the borders, most of the Jewish in this country just escaped from Russia to the United States, to Canada, to Israel. We chose to come to Israel, and it was a big aliyah. It's been immigration to Israel, and actually from 12 years old I grew up in Israel.
Do you know where your parents and grandparents met and grew up? Do you know the source of your name? Do you know some of the lessons that your parents learned from good or bad experiences? The information is typically passed down during family dinners and family holidays. The intergenerational self who knows these answers has higher levels of self-esteem, a belief in one's own capacity to control what happens to him or her, better family functioning, lower levels of anxiety, and better chances for overcoming educational or emotional difficulties. As we sit down at our seders this year with family, friends, and guests, we have an extraordinary opportunity to engage with the richness of our tradition and learn from the wisdom of our family stories. And maybe, just maybe, to get a little further out of Egypt.
But when my parents passed away, it was very interesting to understand where we were, who are we, where did we come from? So we hear all these stories and we put it back together that we live in Tehran for 80 years.
And he, as the oldest kid, was allowed to have a bed above the stove, which was the warmest part of the house. So really amazing kind of poverty that they came from.
I think that everything is different because when you're living in Russia in that time, I mean before 1990, you're trying to hide that you're Jewish.
I think that we have, through the Pirkei Avos, very nice guidance on how to live and conduct life. And so I want them to take that sense of belonging to a bigger society, being proud of who they are, very proud of who they are, enjoying the traditions of Judaism, but certainly understanding that we coexist, and that's what I want them to get.
And I think Pesach is time to write our own history, time to tell our story to our kids. Where did we come from? Who are we? And where do we go from here? Create new memories with them. And most of all, to continue that Jewish identity, to continue living as a Jew. I think Pesach gives you that opportunity. I am one of those guys that 37 years ago have to leave my country with nothing just because I was a Jew. So if we don't learn from it, it will keep continuing. And I hope that one day we can learn from our past.
Because we are out of the country, it's most important to me to keep it, that this is the reason that we can keep closer to the Jewish community.